What's good? What's good? What's good, sports world? Welcome to Believe in Bills podcast on Sirius XM 1480 AM at Power 96.5 FM. Joining me, my co-host and producer from the Fan Base Network. We got Justice Radford in the building. What's up, my guy? How you doing?
Awesome. Always a pleasure to be here to talk some football with you. Ready to get going today.
No doubt we got ourselves a great show. And, obviously we got a lot of things to talk about. Bills OTAs as wrapped up. And next time we'll get the opportunity to see the Bills. We'll be at St. John's Fisher for the first time in 3 seasons. The Buffalo Bills will be having training camp at St. John's Fisher. But we got a great show. We're going to talk about Dorsey's offense, Josh comfort zone within that offense. We're also going to chime in about our guy, Tavon Austin, as well as some of the things that Chris Sims was stating to say Josh Allen is, number one on his board. A lot of things to compact in here. Jordan Poyer has reported to camp. So, we got a lot of things. Plus our Ricky Watch, you don't want to miss that. But nevertheless, fans, you can check us out on the Fan Base Network. That is Monday through Monday. It's going to be a great lineup coming to you from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with a great roundup of podcasts. So make sure you plug in to the Fan Base Network, man, especially when the season starts. You're not going to be disappointed. There's going to be some great content, more exclusive insight concerning the Buffalo Bills, and all access courtesy of yours truly. So, with that being said, man, OTAs this week, Justice, I was like a kid in a candy store just sitting back watching everything just materialize, right? Everybody's here now. 110% participation at camp. Nobody missed camp. That's expected of, this team. That's just what expected. Barely guys miss camp, especially mandatory camp under the McDermott era. So it was a good sight to see that the new guys embraced everything that the Bills have. What that offensive line is really looking like now that you got Roger Saffold, Deion Dawkins, Ryan Bates, and those guys all together. What is the receiving core going to look like when you blend in those rookies now? What is that running back mix is going to look like when you got Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, and James Cook there? So it's a lot of things that that we have in place on this offense. So what does Ken Dorsey do to that there? So I'm not sure, but I'm very excited by what I see so far, Justice.
Yeah, you got to look at. I keep saying it, but it just you have to account for the fact. Obviously, this is Dorsey's first year, but to have a Shula in the building, to have Cromer come back to be the offensive coach. To have Brady in the building as well. Just all those minds in that offensive room. You have to imagine that they'll be able to work together and be a cohesive unit. And also, with the, I wanted to ask you with the let's say struggles Brian Daboll had last year, and with Ken Dorsey coming into the fold, and obviously vamping the entire offensive unit, the offensive line coaches there. They've signed some free agents on the offensive line this year, and got a couple rookies. You got some second year guys like Spencer Brown, and then more veterans on the team as well, and some guys on the bench that maybe expect to make a comeback this year. How different do you expect the run game to look, with Devin Singletary, James Cook, and the aforementioned offensive line regroup?
As far as what now?
How you expect the running game to look under, Dorsey, this new offensive line, and the new philosophy they have going into the season?
Now that's going to be the big tell of the tape, right? That's going to be the big difference of what separates Dable from Dorsey, right? We all know that Dable, when it comes to running the ball, Josh Allen, disregard the running backs on 3rd and 2 and stuff like that. And if everybody want to say that's probably what Coach McDermott and Brian Dable were at odds at, was the running game, or how the running game was installed, within, that offensive scheme. You're not going to see that out of Ken Dorsey. What you're going to see out of Ken Dorsey is a more attacking downhill. I mean, he's going to hit you. It's from all facets of that run game. From all facets of that run game, they're going to do it. They have the necessary pieces to just about run anything. Ken Dorsey is going to, I call his offense a juggernaut offense. And when it's a juggernaut offense, that means you can run everything, including the kitchen sink. I know sometimes people will be like, well, yeah, he didn't hit me with everything except the kitchen sink. Ken Dorsey can hit you with the kitchen sink too. That's just how many weapons he has in his arsenal from a personnel standpoint. All right. So we talking 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 11 personnel, 10 personnel, 22. I mean, you name it. These guys are loaded and they are prepared to, put a hot boy in each position group. And that's the crazy part about it, that it's no drop off in any position group they go out there with. So it's going to be hard for defenses to match up with what the Bills put out there from an offensive standpoint. And let's not forget the quarterback can run too. But I don't think it's going to be that many design runs for Josh Allen this year. That was the emphasis on probably bringing in Coach Cromer to help bolster a more physical attack up front with that O line. And what I see from the run game out of Dorsey, I didn't see in Dable at all. So I mean they're running. I mean they're running power, they're running zone, you name it. You know what I mean? Because they have the necessary pieces to do it, and they have a more balanced line that could give you some zone and power. So they have a balanced attack on the run game. And now if you add that balanced attack to this unstoppable passing game, defenses are going to be in trouble if the Bills really figure that out from a run pass, standpoint. If you can keep a team off balance with balance, yeah, we'll soon to see. But from what I'm looking at so far, a lot of Bills fans is going to be very impressed with the Bills run game this year.
So obviously, you just mentioned how the run game looks to be improved here, and a new philosophy, new schemes, etc. Because obviously, Dayball wasn't great at it, but what did come from a Dayball offense was a great passing game. Now, Ken Dorsey was the passing game coordinator, so I'm sure he had a lot to do with that. But we did have Emmanuel Sanders last year. We had Cole Beasley last year. Cole Beasley, a former All-Pro. And probably could have maybe had another relative season last year if he stayed healthy the entire time. Now you have Gabriel Davis and Jameson Crowder, etc. What do you expect from Gabriel Davis? Because he has a lot of yards, touchdowns, production, etc. to make up for.
Well, I mean, like they say, you're only as good as your last game, right? And we all know what Gabe Davis did his last game. He put up Super Bowl record numbers, all right? 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. If that's how teams are going to play the Buffalo Bills, then you better go ahead and grab Gabriel Davis on your fantasy. You know what I mean? Because, he's going to have a breakout season. Then basically, he's going to have a breakout season regardless, just because he is solidified that number 2 spot opposite of Stephon Diggs. With Emmanuel Sanders, possibly heading into retirement. He hasn't made it official yet, so I'm not, don't quote me on that. But I mean, when you're 35, approaching 36, that seems to be the case. Cole Beasley, like you mentioned, all-pro receiver, slot receiver. So, Gabe Davis moves up to that role. How would they be able to? How are those targets going to be replaced with who? I mean, that's what we want to see, right? Cole Beasley, back-to-back 80-plus catch seasons, right? So who gets the bulk of Cole Beasley's targets? Will it be Jamison Crowder? Would it be Isaiah McKenzie? Does Gabe Davis get some of those targets now? Do O.J. Howard, chime in some of those targets? Does Dawson Knox get, upgrade on his targets? You know what I mean? So it's a lot. It's a lot to figure out how that's going to be rationed out. Due to the fact somebody has to take that role. We're looking for Gabe Davis to do that. When you see in minicamp, I think his Josh trust in Gabe is on the same level as it is with Stephon Diggs at this point. I can say that. So I definitely can say that Gabriel Davis can have 1,000-yard receiving year, and potentially can have 100 catches. Cole Beasley almost had 100 catches Who's not to say that Gabe Davis can't have 100 catches? Something's going to happen. It's either going to be 2,000-yard receivers or two 100, target guys. Because I'm telling you now, with this offense, it's going to be hard to double everybody. And if you want to double Stephon Diggs, and they got a Jamison Crowder out there, they got a Gabe Davis, they got an OJ Howard out there, they got a Dawson Knox. It's going to be hard for you to match up like that. So teams are definitely going to have to pick your poison, and I think Gabe Davis is going to have an excellent season this year.
So we talked about, targets are going to need to be replaced and production is going to need to be replaced. And Gabe Davis probably looks like a candidate, the main candidate to make up for a lot of that. But the Bills did also get another playmaker at the wide receiver position in Tavon Austin. Now, Tavon Austin has had a history of returning kicks and punts, etc. Hasn't done it in a little bit, but he does have a history of doing it. Looking at this roster and how full and compact the wide receiver room is, although he's made, great impressions in camp, what are some paths for him to make the roster this year?
Right now he just have to find his way. You know what I mean? Coming into the situation where the Buffalo Bills are loaded, at wide receiver. But to bring in a guy of Tavon Austin stature, let you know that either he's lighting the fire at a guy that they want to step up, or two, that they're really looking at upgrading their return game with a true specialist. You know what I mean? It's not to say that you got a guy, in a McKenzie that can play that role, but maybe the Bills want him to focus on a more role that he's being involved in this year. You never know. You know what I mean? So, because let's be real. Cole Beasley's not on this roster anymore. I understand we got Jamison Crowder, but let's not sleep on Isaiah McKenzie. Let's not sleep on Little Dirty, because Little Dirty was the heir apparent to Cole Beasley. When Cole Beasley didn't play last year, Isaiah McKenzie was out there. So, that's another competition that people need to be looking at. Like, just because it was Jamison Crowder, doesn't mean that, he could potentially start in Cole Beasley replacement. It could easily be Isaiah McKenzie. So maybe if the Bills expecting a much more needed role in the offense from McKenzie, then, you need him to be more you need him more on the offensive side than a special team standpoint. So maybe the Bills are entertaining that. Maybe there is some disappointments there in Speedy. If he's not progressing, that they'll go out here and get a veteran guy in Tavon Austin. So he's a guy that's humbled and hungry. Got a chip on his shoulder. You feel that a lot of people has forgotten about Tavon Austin, and when you get the nod from a Super Bowl contending team, you get your butt up off the couch. That's definitely a humbling experience in itself. So he's up for the challenge, and he's definitely ready to take advantage of any opportunity comes his way on making this roster. I'll tell you that one.
I mean, now one thing all these receivers have in common, whether it's Tavon Austin or Lil Dirty or Diggs or Davis, is they all have the pleasure of playing with one of, or as Chris Sims says, the best quarterback in the NFL. Now, of course, I am talking about the Chris Sims top 40 countdown that he does every single year. This year, he has Josh Allen at the number 1 spot, just for reference. Number 2 is Patrick Mahomes. Number 3 is Justin Herbert. 4 is Joe Burrow, and 5 is Aaron Rodgers. So what are your thoughts on Josh Allen being the best quarterback in the National Football League?
My thoughts on Josh being the best quarterback right now, I say this: he's the hottest quarterback right now. I can't say that he's the best right now, because a guy like Tom Brady is still playing in the NFL. As long as Tom Brady is still playing in the NFL, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. All right, bar none. Let's just be realistic. Aaron Rodgers, he's still playing right now. He's still one of the best receivers in the game. I would say Josh Allen is the hottest quarterback in the NFL. He's definitely the hottest quarterback. And then he bumped Mahomes down. So I'll say him and Mahomes are the hottest quarterbacks in the game. But the best in the game right now are the two that I just mentioned, in Brady and and Rodgers. And obviously,
Rodgers.
we saw the match, right? We saw the top four quarterbacks in the NFL from the old to the new. You know what I mean? We saw the best two, and we just see the hottest two. So that's why I see Josh out right now. I can't give him the best because you got to have a Super Bowl ring underneath your belt to be considered the best in the game. And if there's guys out there that has more Super Bowl rings than you, a la Aaron Rodgers, a la Patrick Mahomes, a la Tom Brady, then I can't catapult Josh as the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Number one hottest for sure, hands down. The number one hottest quarterback in the NFL is Josh Allen. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say he's the best right now.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. I mean, if you look at it, Tom Brady does have what, 6, 7 Super Bowl rings, something like that. Aaron Rodgers is one or two. I think he only has one, but I think he could have two, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, Pat Mahomes has one as well. If it was up to Josh Allen in last year's postseason, they probably have one, but of course they didn't get it. So fair enough. He definitely is probably the hottest quarterback right now, especially after that postseason. But
Right.
speaking of hot topics, Jordan Poyer, you've seen him. He is at camp this year after, making some noise with wanting a new contract, signing Drew Rosenhaus as his agent. Everybody thinking he want all the money in the world, or at least, all pro safety money, which he probably deserves. But how does this look, him being at camp, him participating? How does that look for a Jordan Poyer extension with this football team?
Um, I mean, it's great to see Poyer there. I mean, obviously, we all knew that he wasn't going to hold out. I mean, why would he? It doesn't benefit him to hold out. I mean, this team is on a Super Bowl run. This team is on the best stretches it's been in decades. So why would he rock the boat and put a black eye in the game about worried about a contract that right now he really don't have no control over because he's under contract. So, everything else to take care of itself. A good friend of mine told me football takes care of itself, and and that's going to happen in Jordan Poyer's case. I mean, the Bills could give him a bump. I mean, if that's what this is about, go ahead and give the man a raise. Take his 8 to 9 million to 11, 12 million this year. So that means he's paid as one of the best safeties in the game right now. Okay, just go ahead and just give him a pay hike for being all pro. Okay, if you feel like he superseded his contract, whatever the case, it's not a problem to throw a few more dollars at him. All right, and then give him a second year option, whatever the case may be. But I mean, at some point, the Bills do have to look at the business side of this, and look at where they are, as a team and where they are and who they're trying to pay because Poyer's not the only one that's asking for some money. You know what I mean? So it is a business side to that. My guess is, I mean, they're gonna make this work. They're gonna make this work. Give them a 2 year extension. They rack off a Super Bowl. Who's to say? You know what I mean? If they rack off a Super Bowl this year, they still can release him next year to free up money for X, Y, and Z. But guess what? The ultimate goal has happened, and guys can move on and go get it back somewhere else. You know what I mean? Fair exchange, no robbery. But so I mean, that's where I'm overthinking. You know what I mean? I always like to think ahead. Um, by the way that this is going, and the Bills are the favorite to go to a Super Bowl. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to win it. They got to go out here and play on a week to week basis for that. But you know, just looking at it from that angle, go ahead, Poyer, you sign, you get that extension, and so happens the Bills win the Super Bowl. They might look at that and say we need that money back to resign Tremaine Edmonds or to sign Dawson Knox, or you might want to resign Roger Safford or OJ Howard, who's under a 1 year contract. So it's going to have some sort of a domino effect one way or the other. But right now, Poyer is under contract. He has to honor his contract to get the next one, and I'm quite sure that both parties could come to some sort of agreement at some point in time.
So you said it earlier. You said including Poyer, a lot of people are going to want their money this off or this upcoming off season. You got guys like Ed Oliver. His contract is going to be coming up soon. Dawson Knox. Gabriel Davis, if he performs the way people expect him to perform, he's going to need a lot of money. Devin Singletary's contract is ending. You mentioned Tremaine Edmonds. Are there any liabilities, or uh, do people become expendable, or any of the people I just named specifically, if Jordan Poyer does get his contract extension this offseason?
That will be basically it'll be their
Yeah,
last
that
year if you
means
sign
they
Poyer.
probably, yeah.
Hmm. What are my candidates? What's my list?
Well, I got Ed Oliver, Dawson Knox, Gabriel Davis, Devin Singletary, or Tremaine Edmonds. Now, this might not necessarily mean this is their last season, but it does mean they probably won't get a second contract with the Buffalo Bills.
Mm, that's interesting. Maybe I say Devin Singletary, but it's cheaper to keep him. I mean, because it don't cost you that much to re-sign him. But when you looking at, if we just saying expendable right now, you would say Devin Singletary to a degree. Uh, I mean, you look at what David Njoku contract he signed for Cleveland. I know Dawson's licking his chops like, ooh, thank you, David Njoku, but he may take the team discount, understanding where they are. You know, what I mean, from a camp perspective, and take the discount to they're part of what special thing that the Bills have right now. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you look at it. I mean, with Jordan Phillips and Shaq Lawson coming back after going to get that bag somewhere else, wasn't happy. They still wasn't happy at the end of the day, and they came back here and they're playing for less money. You know what I mean? Way less money than when they in their contract years before they left. So a lot of players is probably looking at that too. Like, damn, these dudes left got their bag, but didn't work out for them, and they back here. Just imagine if they just would have stayed, stayed the course. What could have happened? Do the Bills already have a Super Bowl underneath their belt already? So a lot of things like that, a lot of scenarios guys think about. So, well, Dawson Knox being the favorite of Josh Allen, that they have a bond, so he may take all that stuff into consideration when signing again. I don't think Tremaine Edmonds is going anywhere. I mean, he's Josh Allen, the quarterback of the defense. Tremaine is the quarterback. Josh is the quarterback of offense. Tremaine is the quarterback of the defense. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Um, you got Ed Oliver, who's under contract, for the next 2 years, so they can franchise tag him after the third year. Gabe Davis, yeah, the Bills gonna probably extend him probably mid-season of this year because his contract is up. Being a fourth-round draft pick, his contract is up, and we already got Debo Samuel and all those other dudes crying about money and holding out. So you don't want Gabe Davis to get to that point because if he do have a breakout season this year, in which he is, his numbers are going to be better than 35 catches and 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. His numbers are going to double that output. So you might as well go ahead and extend him for less money right now. Get it out of the way before you let him touch the market. He's going to get Christian Kirk money. He's going to get Christian Kirk money. So the Bills are definitely going to have is going to have to answer some questions. Sooner or later they're going to have to answer some questions on who to retain and who to cut ties with. I mean, the business part kicks in at some point with each organization. So hopefully they can figure out, find some money, and keep them on, keep this thing going. But we all know how the business side could be. So realistically, that's why I say maybe Devin. You got James Cook in the fold. You still got Zach Moss under one more year contract, and I mean, from an expendable standpoint, I would say that. Other than that, we don't have nobody to replace Tremaine Edmonds right now. We got OJ Howard, but he's only for 1 year, so both of the contracts are up. So you know, you don't have nobody to replace Dawson Knox at this point. You got, let's say, Ed Oliver's under contract. So those are the main three, you know. So Dawson, Tremaine ain't going nowhere. Devin Singletary would probably be the odd man out on that. So, with that being said, we're just going to have a quick break and, pause for our quick station identification and make sure everybody is tuned into the, live and legendary 1080 a.m. on Power 96.5. All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to Believe in Bills podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Mookie Hawkins. Alongside with me, I have Justice Radford from Fanbase Network in the building. And we're talking about some great things. Obviously, Bills OTAs, Dorsey's offense. We also talked about Gabe's new role, some expectations in this offense, as well as a much motivated Tavon Austin in his 10th season being picked up by the Bills. If you missed it, we just got to finish racking off about Jordan Poyer being back at camp. What does his contract extension mean for other guys, and who's the odd man out? So some of the things that we were talking about. But Justice, let me ask you, just from the outside looking in, Josh's comfort zone. Where do you see Josh's comfort zone this year during OTAs than prior with Ken Dorsey at offensive coordinator?
Well, to me, in Dayball's office, it didn't necessarily look like Josh necessarily had a comfort zone. I mean, I'm sure there were more aspects to the offense that he was more comfortable than others, but Dayball's offense felt really inconsistent, right? They were like from a week to week basis, you could never really figure out what the game plan was going to be because some weeks he tried to overemphasize the run, some weeks he tried to overemphasize the pass, et cetera, et cetera. To me, Josh looks really, really comfortable in that option, that RPO. Where he could put the ball in the belly of the running back, or if he sees, Cole Beasley, for instance, coming over the middle open, he gets it out to him. Or if he sees Stephon Diggs 101, he pulls it. He's going up. He's able to have multiple outlets, on the field. So again, depending on the type of defense that is being ran, he could either give the ball to his back, he could keep it himself and run, or he could find whichever wide receiver has a favorable matchup on the field. So that felt like the most comfortable I see Josh, especially like in the goal line. I don't know why it's not strictly RPOs in the red zone, because that's typically when he gets most of his scores, when he can either, again, let the running back see if he can find a lane or do it himself. And so I would expect, or I would at least hope that, that's something that Dorsey recognized and was able to put more emphasis into the game plan.
So, yeah, just from my look of it is he's just going with the flow. He seems real relaxed. He seems real comfortable in this Dorsey offense. Obviously, it's like you said before, Ken Dorsey was the passing game coordinator last year, so nothing really has changed in the pass game. It's just that now the passing game coordinator has become the offensive coordinator as well. So, it's just a much more role on Dorsey's behalf. But, he is that guy that's in Josh Allen's ear now, other than, Dable. So it's definitely going to be some different philosophies in certain situations that Dable would have probably did this on third down, and Dorsey is probably doing something else, on third down. We all know that's going to be difference in play calling and what they see, from a down the distance perspective. Because one, I'm expecting Dorsey, who's played the game, all right, at a high level at the quarterback position, something that Dable didn't do. All right. So I know that, we're going to get more quarterback thought. We're going to get a more offensive thought process from Ken Dorsey than we would with Brian Dable. Now, that's not taking anything away from Brian Dable, but Brian Dable, again, has not played quarterback at no level. All right. He didn't play quarterback in college, didn't play quarterback in high school. Okay. Now, he could have been a quarterback's coach. All right. But, from actually playing the game, living the game, knowing the game from that aspect, it's totally different, when calling plays, So, we're definitely going to see it from a true quarterback's window, a perspective on what to call on certain situations in ball games, and that's what I'm going to be looking at. Come training camp and when preseason starts, how the style of play calling that's going to differentiate from Dable and Dorsey. So that's some of the things I'm going to be looking at. But Josh definitely looks comfortable. With all the new stuff that's being presented, he knows the structure within, and man, this new look offense attack is going to be nice because I think um, it's going to play a little bit to everybody's ability, and that's the good thing about that in this offense that I see, that it's structured for just about every weapon on this offense. This is kind of like mine's back in the day, you know what I mean? One hand washes the other. Each guy sets up the next guy, you know what I mean? So everybody got their play, and each play sets up the next guy's play. So telling you now, the Bills are going to hit everybody with the kitchen sink included in this Dorsey's offense. And Josh Allen's run totals are going to get cut down. They're going to get cut down, but that's what you want. Josh Allen cannot rush. Josh Allen cannot have over 100 attempts at quarterback. It just can't happen. Now, if passing protection breaks down, okay, Josh, you got to do what you got to do. But as far as this just
Design
bootleg right,
runs.
bootleg left, no,
Yeah.
we're not doing all that.
Yeah. So
You may see some option reads or something like that, but that's what you do with a mobile quarterback like that. You use him that way instead of just some design 17s and
design
18s like it's
power.
little league. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't a fan of that, so I'm excited
Quarterback
to
power.
see what this run game is really going to look like. When the pads come on.
Yeah. So you definitely want to see some of that zone running in the red zone specifically, because if there's a time you want to see your quarterback running, it's potentially for a touchdown, if anything. But before we get out of here, now you are Nostradamus in some parts of the hood, right? You got the first round pick correct in Kyrie Elam in your mock draft 1.0. And so we want to have Coach Mookie Hawkins breakout player of the year preseason edition. All right. So, you mentioned Gabriel Davis. You said you think he's going to be a beast this year, but that's one that we're kind of all hoping or expecting to see. Right. So I want you to give us, from what you've seen out of OTAs and minicamp and everything, somebody who has really, shown you more than what you were expecting and could potentially be a breakout player for this upcoming season.
I got a few. I mean, obviously Gabe Davis. In the situation he has no choice but to have a breakout season because now you are the official number two receiver. You are the Emmanuel Sanders. So your numbers are going to double. We're expecting you to have a breakout year. It's up to him how much you want that year to be. But again, Gabe Davis is going to have a breakout year. I think that he's going to have. I think he's going to have over 1,000 yard season. I think he's going to have the double catch production. I think he's going to have over 70 catches and 1,000 yards this year. Another guy that I think is going to have a breakout year is Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is going to go over that 1,000 yard mark. This is the year that the Bills rack up everything. Josh Allen should throw for 5,000 and get the MVP. Gabe Davis should have at least 70 catches over 1,000 yards, and Devin Singletary should have 1,000 yards rushing this year. Um, James Cook should definitely be in contention for Rookie of the Year. By the looks of this offensive way it's structured right now, James Cook should definitely be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I know it's going to be some rookie running backs out there. James Cook, you definitely can throw his name in that hat as well as Offensive Rookie of the Year this year as well. So those would be my 2.5 guys that I got on this roster having a breakout year. Um, Defensive side, I mean, you got to look at Tremaine Edmonds, right? I mean, Tremaine got to have a breakout year. Now, I know he's put in the production as far as having over 100 tackles each season and stuff like that. But, as everybody mentioned, the splashiness, the splash plays, the plays that sticks out with you being out there on defense, like either you tackling a guy for a loss or getting a sack or making an interception, that's what they want to see out of Tremaine. And I think that with this new defensive line that we got, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But with this new defensive line, it's going to enable Tremaine to, play a little bit more cleaner and freer to go out and make those splashy plays that everybody's been waiting to see. So, on the offensive side, I say Gabe, Devin, James Cook, and, definitely on the defensive side, Tremaine Edmonds to have a breakout season.
Yeah. All right. So we got Gabriel Davis with a breakout year, over 1,000 yards receiving. Devin Singletary, a projected 1,000 yards rushing. We got James Cook with a projected offensive rookie of the year, and Tremaine Edmonds also with a projected breakout season. Josh Allen too. You did mention him, and if Josh Allen has another breakout season, then we're definitely winning a Super Bowl. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk to the audience about today, Coach?
I do. I want to get into this defensive line. Something that we talked about, something that's going to help Tremaine Edmonds. When you look at the total revamped defensive line, I mean, only people that's coming back, if you got the young boys and you got Ed Oliver, but when you look at this completely brand new defensive line, I mean, this is what's gonna make or break the Bills. This new coat front, like my boy Jeremy always used to say. Shout out to Cold Front Report, by the way, but this is cold front 3.0, not even 2.0, 3.0. When you got Von Miller, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, and Greg Rousseau out there. And then, hey, on the flip side of that, you got Shaq Lawson, Jordan Phillips, Boogie Basham, AJ Espinoza, Mike Love. Like, that list goes on and on and on. You know what I mean? Tim Settle. So you got that core of guys, that rotation right there, to me, hands down, is one of the top 5 defensive lines in the NFL. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if I had to do a sack count right now, Shaq is leading the defensive line right now and would be sacks. You know what I mean? Since this is OTA, you can't touch the quarterback, but you look and say, okay, that would have been a sack by Shaq. Shaq is leading in that category. I can say that over Von Miller and over Greg Rousseau right now. Shaq Lawson has the most sack at OTAs, by the way, if nobody's listening. All right. If you are, Shaq Lawson, again, has more sacks at training camp than anybody right now. You know what I mean? Would be sacks. So that's how deep this Bills defensive line is. When you got Shaq Lawson, it's, you got Shaq Lawson deep on the depth chart right now. He was a former number 1 pick. All right, so this is how deep this defensive line is, and they really going to get after quarterbacks. And a guy like Shaq, not only does he get after quarterback, his strong suit is run support. So now you got another guy that can set the edge in the run game, and let guys like Tremaine Edmonds run free. Somebody on that defensive line is going to demand a double, whether it's Jordan Phillips or Ed Oliver, in the run type situation. So the Bills, again, on the flip side, has a player for every type of situation they need on the defensive side, especially up front. So to see that combination and those rotations get put in there, who's going to make the roster, first of all? That's the biggest thing. Who is really going to make this roster at defensive line? Because when you look at it, okay, you got Von Miller, he's replaced Jerry Hughes, and that's an upgrade. You got Mario Addison. Okay, you can say he was replaced by let's just say Greg Rousseau. Greg Rousseau replaces him. Okay, let's say Harrison Phillips got replaced by Tim Settle. Let's say Styler Tule got replaced by Daquan Jones and Jordan Phillips. Let's say Shaq Lawson got replaced F.A. Obata.
Okay. It's an upgrade everywhere.
So it's upgrades everywhere, right? Yeah. So when you break that down like that, you know what I mean, in those particular rows, those are upgrades all around the table. And let's not forget, the Bills' defense was ranked number 1. All right, our biggest problem was getting after the quarterback. So I think they fixed that problem. We'll definitely have to see once the pass come on, but I know you don't win based upon what things look like on paper, but how things are looking and what I've seen in training camp, Leslie Frazier is just sitting back in the cut like Neosporin right now, just smiling nice and proud. Just can't wait for the season to start, just to really see how this thing is really going to materialize and how it's going to make this defense better. So this defensive line is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And it's going to be interesting to see, like I said, how many defensive linemen they're going to keep, because Mike Love is a dog too. He just never gets the opportunity to showcase his talents. In preseason, he's a dog out there flying around, making the team, but he never really get a chance to showcase his skills. So I don't know how many defensive linemen I just named right there. Maybe they can keep them on, or maybe not. Something got to give. So to be continued on that. I know everybody excited to see how that's going to play out in training camp. Maybe a few guys get traded, maybe they keep them on. How that's really going to affect this roster, we definitely going to see. And that's something we're gonna get into when training camp start, or we can get into right before training camp. When we start breaking down the roster and doing our projections and stuff like that. That's another topic for another day. But nevertheless, this defensive line is locked and loaded like a baked potato, baby. And I can't wait for it to unload. So, I'm very excited to what the Bills done up front from the offensive line and the defensive line. So, just speaking of that guy that we just mentioned, uh, Edmonds, the big stepper this year. What do you think, Justice, that Tremaine Edmonds needs to improve on to have the breakout season that everybody's waiting for him to have?
If I'm being completely honest, I think the only thing Tremaine Edmonds is lacking is confidence. I think that's it. I think he's a confident person, but I don't think he is like that dog. You know what I mean? He isn't like I'm the best player out here on this field like at all times. I don't think he thinks that way. And I think for him to be truly great, I think if he thought that way, he has the skills, he has the tools to be able to be a great linebacker. But you look at guys like Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher and Luke Kuechly. They were always the smartest people on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see that from him. I'm not sure what his study habits are like, but he looks a little confused out there sometimes, or maybe not confused, but he'll second guess himself. And I think confidence comes along with that. Being able to trust your instinct, trust your studying of the film that you've watched throughout the week, trust your ability to be able to go make the play. And I think if he was able to do all of that, and just go after the ball carrier like Bobby Boucher, like Water Boy, just go get him, and don't worry about it, just go get the ball carrier. So I like Tremaine Edmonds, and like you said, I'm right there with you in terms of this defensive line being bolstered up. I think it sets the tone for Tremaine Edmonds to be able to see through lanes a little bit better, to see through the gaps a little bit better, and be able to go make a play versus having to look over 6'7", 350-pound men running full speed at you. And I think I don't think he gets enough benefit of the doubt. I feel like a lot of people are really low on Tremaine Edmonds, and I kind of be like, well, what are you watching? Like, I understand maybe if you were to watch Tremaine Edmonds alone by himself, isolated on the football field, you could come away with, okay, maybe he underperforms, right? But if you look at the full context, and not only that, people will openly admit the defensive line has not been good the last 2 years. But in the same breath, they'll say neither is Tremaine Edmonds. And I'm like, well, you can't have both. You know what I mean? Like, if the defensive line isn't good, what are you expecting from your linebackers? And with a liability on the defensive line, the linebackers have still played really well. So with that being, all put in front of my face, I have to say that I think Tremaine Edmonds is a potential all-pro linebacker. He has that potential. He just, in my opinion, on the outside looking in, I think that he just needs to know that, and again, trust everything all the work he's put in the week, and just go get the ball carrier.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him as well what he think he needs to improve on this year, other than anything else, and that's what he was saying. Just learning how to to trust his eyes more. The same thing that you was mimicking. Trust his eyes more. See it, be it. You know what I mean? Don't hesitate. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. You know what I mean? See it, be it. That's what I always tell my guys. If you see it, be it. You know what I mean? Don't waste no time. Don't hesitate. We'll clean up what we need to clean up after you saw what you thought you saw. You know what I mean? So that right then and there, that gives guys to go that confidence to go ahead and trust those instincts. Because if you do make a mistake by just seeing and being, we can always correct that. You know what I mean?
Mm,
But I would rather have you on point and aggressive at all times, especially the position that you're playing for this football team. You need to be aggressive all the time. You don't need to be hesitant and second guessing yourself, because dealing with a guy like Patrick Mahomes will slice and dice you to death if you wait a split second later. Those guys are definitely gonna make you pay. So,
absolutely.
he was spot on with that. Trusting his eyes a little bit more, and I think that once again, this new defensive front is going to allow Tremaine Edmonds to diagnose plays quicker and get to the point of attack quicker than he did in previous years to make plays. So,
So I have one more question for you. Now, looking at OTAs and everything you've seen in this preseason so far, now you're looking at one of, if not the best offense in the entire league, with one of, if not the best quarterback. And you're also looking at one of, if not the best defense in the entire league, right?
mm-hmm.
Now, unstoppable force is meeting an immovable object in practice every day, excuse me. Who is winning those battles? Who looks a little more polished to you at this point in time?
As far as up front, or
just the entire units, period, offense and defense?
I'm gonna say defense. When you
That's
look at it,
encouraging.
everybody's back, including Shaq, including Jordan Phillips.
That's true.
Only people that need to get caught up to speed is Von Miller. Really? Von Miller got to get caught up to speed? And by the looks of that, it seems like he's already grasped, that in detail. It already looks like Daquan Jones has grasped that, and Tim Settle has grasped that as well. So I think that if there's a Pacific unit that's out there playing like they've been playing around with each other for years, it's definitely the defensive line.
Interesting. Wow. And they've been together the least amount of time. That I think that's really encouraging, right? Because despite what Josh Allen may do in weeks 1 through 3 or 4 or whatever the case may be, he has shown us that he has the propensity to be able to finish the season strong and also play well throughout the playoffs. But the defense is kind of different. You need to get into a groove a little bit, and you'd like to have those guys be ready and ready to go, weeks 1 through 17 and plus the playoffs. And I feel like you take a look at like those Bears teams in the 2010s, right? The defenses, they had some good players, but I think it was more so about the reputation they had, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had the reputation of being one of the best defenses, with Eddie Jackson and guys like that, and they played like it. They had Mitchell Trubisky on the other side of the field throwing interceptions, and they got to come right back on the field, but they were playing like they were the best defense in the league. And I think having the stigma and also being really lucky with those turnovers they were getting that year goes into it. So I would like to see the defense to get out early and make plays and put their impression on the game, create those turnovers, and then you give those turnovers to Josh Allen versus Mitchell Trubisky. Obviously, you will have better dividends and results.
Do you know what's the first like 3rd and 6 or 7 may look like? You know how nuts people are going to be going on that first defensive 3rd down, knowing that it's Von Miller time and who's going to get to the quarterback first. Like that's going to be bad for Matt Stafford. That first 3rd down, that's going to be real bad when they know that they're throwing this ball, and boy, you better look out, because you don't know what the Bills going to dial up that first pass rush segment. So that's going to be the killer. Probably like what's going to happen on the first 3rd down of the season. Who's going to set the tone? Will it be Von? Will it be Ed? Will it be Rousseau? Will it be Jordan Phillips? Who knows? Like, who's going to be first to the quarterback? That's all I want to know. You know what I mean? They're going to be so amped up on that 3rd down, knowing that it's a passing situation. I want to see who's going to go out there and get to the quarterback first. And something like that is contagious. And they're going to have that demeanor every 3rd down. And that's what's been lacking, in the Bills defense, getting that to the quarterback. Now, Jerry was the only one. I can't say that. He did get after the quarterback, but he didn't get the quarterback down on his back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big difference right there. That's why I just hated to see my man Jerry go. You know what I mean? But this is a business, and you know, and that's just the nature of it. So, you know, here we are with Von Miller, and you know, the rest of these guys, you know, have to develop their game. Boogie Basham, AJ Espinoza, Greg Rousseau, they have to, you know, develop. You know, especially more or less at AJ because he's going in his third season. So, you know, he's under the radar right now. You know, I mean, he's definitely under the radar. You know, in reference to plan to their full petition. Speaking of that radar, uh, Bill's rookies right now, you know, on the rookie watch. Now, you know, Kyer's been balling. You know, it's been good to see him lock horns with Stephon Diggs. It was good to see him lock horns with Gabriel Davis. Now, I will say this: Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs is showing the rookie the ropes.
Okay.
Let me let you know that right now. They are definitely showing the rookie the ropes. They are, you know, it sticks out when when he matchups with either or of those guys, it shows. All right, it definitely shows. But you know, Kyer was able to go ahead and get that pick. You know, on Josh Allen. You know what I
Okay.
mean? You know, on Wednesday. So you know, he's definitely showed that you know he can play ball. He can play with the best of them. That's for sure. He's very cerebral, and he's getting very comfortable in this defense. And you're going to see him make some plays as well. He's going to make some plays out there. You know, he's long, he's rangy, so it's going to be tough for you know quarterbacks to really try to attack him because you know he's down there 6'2", you know, and he's getting polished by John Butler and the rest of that defensive coaching staff is doing a great job of getting Kyer prepared. And you know, once again, he comes from a football family, so that's his DNA. You know, sometimes that you know it's just a natural process for him to go through. So he's making some plays. He's obviously learning you know, from some good guys in Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. So that could only get better as training camp comes along because, you know, this is only the first week that he really, you know, had a chance to, you know, go hard against those guys other than, you know, Bill's first involuntary OTAs when Stephon Diggs was here. So to get that now, come training camp every day leading up to preseason, and then obviously the regular season is going to make Kyer just that much better. You know, when the season do arrive. So great pick right now. He's every bit as advertised, and I think he's going to do quite well in this Bills defense, especially when Tre'Davious White comes back. So the Bills are going to have a solid three in Dane, Kyer, and obviously Tre'Davious
Teron.
when he gets back.
Oh,
You know, you got Cam Lewis, you know, pretty much backing up um, Teron Johnson there. So on the outside, you know, we got some quality depth. You know, they made sure they went out and got quality depth pieces. So you know, Kyer is definitely looking good. You know, as you know, a top draft pick for the Buffalo Bills. Now, our number two pick, our guy James Cook. I mean, you know, you sleep on James Cook if you want to. He gets real skinny in those holes, man, and real slippery, very elusive. You know what I mean? You know, at the point of attack, and you know he has that burst that you see that Zach Moss and Devin don't have. You know what I mean? He can, you know, he can stop at the drop of a dime and explode in the next drop of a dime. So just to have that shiftiness to match that explosiveness is what the Bills have been lacking from a running back standpoint. And you know, he's been in quite a few packages out there. So you know, it's going to be very exciting to see. You know, when James Cook is out there in that offense, when and how soon will he be out there during the course of a football game? But you know, Devin Singletary has been playing quite well at training camp too. But James Cook has definitely been in the sauce over there with Josh Allen and the crew. So I'm letting everybody know that right now. So you know, James Cook has definitely been you know flourishing as far as our rookie watch. Another guy that's on a rookie watch, 6th round pick from out of Villanova, Christian Benford. All right, I'm telling you now, Christian Benford is going to make this roster. Christian Benford will not be released, won't be cut. Christian Benford will make this roster. All right, he's flying around. He's very versatile. He can play on the outside. He can play on the inside. He can play some safety, but right now the Bills has got him. The Bills right now are developing him to play some corner, whether it's outside or inside. And once again, he's another big rangy guy as well. 6'1", 6'2", very physical. And he brings that special team element as well. Over 14 interceptions throughout his career at Villanova, so he has a knack for that football. So those three right now: James Cook, Kyer Elam, and Christian Benford from Villanova has definitely been on my rookie watch, and I can't wait to see how these guys progressed and worked on leading up to training camp come July.
Oh, you heard it here first, guys. We got Kyer Elam balling in minicamp, picking off Josh Allen. Christian Benford will make the roster. I know confidence in that answer. A lot of with James Cook with the burst, and that's what we expected to see. From him when we drafted him. Obviously, that's the one thing that we probably don't have enough of in our running back room is a running back who has the talent to be on the field and also have speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you don't lose anything there. But before we get out of here, I do want to let you guys know to make sure you guys tune in to the Buffalo fan base top 100 Buffalo Bills players of all times. Okay. That is starting Monday, June 27th on the Mafia Sports Report. So make sure you tune in there. We're going to have all 100 players for you guys. We're going to take about 4 to 5 weeks, 4 to 5 episodes. So, and we're going to give you guys all the best Buffalo Bills players throughout history since the inception in 1960. So that should be fun. We also have the Madden cast that we're doing all 16 weeks of the Buffalo Bills regular season of this upcoming season. So you get to see a little bit of a preview what Madden thinks will happen in these games. Okay, Buffalo Bills are currently 3-0. Got the Baltimore Ravens this upcoming Sunday. Maybe even see some special guests or hear some special guests upcoming. We'll see what happens with that. And then again, all of our great regular programming and shows we have, podcasts and YouTube shows we have throughout the week, as Coach said, Sunday through Monday, Sunday through Saturday, every single week, every single day, pretty much we have content at this point. So make sure you guys subscribe and tune in for that. Did you have
Absolutely.
anything else you wanted to say, Coach?
Yeah, before we get out of here, I would like to say, listen, I will be hosting my very first annual golf tournament, courtesy of
Cool.
Poncho's Army. All right, that will be this Monday, June 20th, 10:30 to 5 p.m. at the Springville Country Club. Being sponsored by Barbill, Buffalo Logo, Chrome Photos, Buffalo Cigars, and Buffalo Brick and Mortar, just to name a few. It's a very long list of sponsors and people that's going to be participating at this event. My guy Rory Presley will be on hand in the building, as well as Thurman and Patty Thomas are going to be out there on the golf course. So we're going to have a great event for a great cause. Our proceeds will be going to Poncho's Army for kids with cancer or anyone who has in their fight for cancer, and obviously what has happened at Tops to Top Strategy. Some proceeds will go to that as well. So I'm very excited about that. And, we'll be on deck to give you a live report and some production pieces coming from Partos Army first annual golf tournament. So, with that being said, alongside my host, Justice from the fan base, I'd like to tell everybody believe in Bills, podcast, choose love, not hate. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And we'll see you next week.